Hello and welcome. This is the Nickolas Natali Show. I am your host, Nickolas Natali. We have the most special guest of all, Lily Talmers. Season's greetings, Lily.
Hello, very nice to be here.
I'm happy you're here too. Lily, I gotta say, man, let me just say this. First of all, you are a powerful woman. That's what I gotta say.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I
Trying
think
to
so.
be, in process.
You do a lot of things. You do a lot of adventuring, a lot of traveling, a lot of music. But where I want to start is with your family. Because
Ooh,
let me know if I got this right. You have two sisters,
yes.
right? Chloe and Sophia.
Yes, wow, good.
Nice. And then it seems like you have 1,000 cousins that I can't even keep track of. And I want to know what life was like growing up in a Greek family in Birmingham, Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I actually have a brother too. So
Oh,
that's
can I
one.
guess
His
his
name is
name?
James.
Oh, I knew it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I ruined it.
No. It's
You can
good.
guess his middle name if you want.
Oh, Anthony.
It is not Anthony. I'll just tell
Mm.
you it's Nicholas, after my dad.
Wait, his first name is James? Oh. And then
Yes.
you have somebody else named Nick in your family too, right? But is that a cousin, Nick
My dad's
Talmers?
name is Nick, and my cousin's name is Nick. I have only one first cousin named Nick, but I have a lot of second cousins named Nick also.
Oh my
There's a lot of
gosh.
Nicks going around. That's like feature one of Greek family.
A lot of Nicks.
Yes.
Man, then it's meant to be that you're on the
Um.
show then.
Yeah. Yeah. Interestingly enough, my cousin is actually living with me. One of my cousins is living with me right now. Because of the COVID crisis, he had to
Mm-hmm.
evacuate from his college campus, so I picked him up and he's living here. But yeah, I have a lot of cousins. I think one of the hallmarks of having of our personal family's Greekness, I think it kind of changes between every immigrant family that comes over. But uh, just family is the most important thing, and so a lot of cherished times in the summer and at holidays and things like that. It's big, so it kind of takes over my life in the best way,
Yeah.
as you
It
have
seems,
seen via social media.
um, where did you fit in the family? Did you cause are you middle? Are you middle child?
I'm the oldest,
No way.
but yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess I don't seem mean enough, but I think my siblings would tell you otherwise.
Hmm.
I think to outsiders, I don't seem like I'm, domineering enough for the oldest, but at home, I think they would tell you otherwise. Yeah.
I don't know if it's that. It just seems like so I don't know the culture aspect behind growing up Greek, but do you think that you had the most freedom since you were the first child, or do you have the least amount of freedom because you were the first child, so they wanted to make sure? Like,
Mm,
how much trouble were you allowed to get into growing up?
I don't know. I think my parents are very like recognize that each of us has very different personalities, and I was like a strange. I mean, even elementary schooler, I think, where like I was kind of strangely mature and articulate for my age, and so my parents definitely let me be a lot more than I think with my siblings. But I don't know if that was an affect of um, like an eldest child thing versus just what my personality was like. But I think they definitely gave me a lot of freedom, which was kind of crippling at times, but at the same time, ultimately good.
Mm. What ways
Yeah.
did you find it crippling?
I don't know. I think that there's a lot of. I think in any family system, you kind of want things dictated to you by your descendants. At least that's what I feel like I've wanted growing up is like a very established sense of what you're supposed to be doing and what a good and honorable person looks like. And I definitely got that, but it wasn't dictated to me, by my parents, by like a hard fist from my parents. It was a more indirect thing, I think, which is is a good thing looking back for my own development and being deliberate in the person that I am. But at the same time, I kind of just wanted to guarantee that, like, you must be this way, and then knowing that I would become a certain way. If that made any sense. I feel like that was very vague.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So almost like if this almost like the set of requirements was set before me of what like being this person that I'm supposed to be is, I can have my life work in a way to where I am sure to meet those requirements. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just think there's, as much as you complain, as much as one can complain about your parents being on you about things, I think that secretly a lot of kids actually want to be forced to meet a certain standard, just
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise there's kind of an underlying fear, like, if this is up to me, am I, I have to carry the weight of that. So I think I grappled with that a lot as a kid, like, oh man, I wish my parents would just crack the whip so I didn't have to worry about my own development and wondering if I can meet some standard, But in the end, I completely agree with the route that they took.
Yeah. It's the would you say it's the fear of the unknowing aspect of whether it's right or wrong as you're going? It's just continuous. I mean, it's continuous learning about yourself in a way, but it's almost like the biggest failures get the biggest lessons kind of deal.
Hmm. Yeah. And I also think that we do a lot of, like, retrospective proof of the people that we are. So, like, when you're feeling kind of insecure, you look back and say, oh, well, I've proven myself to be this person, so I have nothing to worry about. The future's going to be fine, whatever. But when you're young, you really don't have that because you kind of haven't been living long
Yeah.
enough to be any sort of way. So you can rely on your parents or your grandparents or your aunts and uncles, to kind of say, this is the way that I think I'm going to be based on them. But there's kind of an underlying insecurity that drives it, I think, which is
Yeah.
good. It should be there. It makes us better.
Do you think a lot of it is a? Because I think for me, what you're saying is true. Like there's a lot of myself that I think is something that I chose that I wanted to be, but I do think as I'm getting older, I'm unraveling the layers of all of, like, I'm not going to say projections, but in a sense, like feeding the this is who you are to me, and then me taking that in and then embodying some of that. I think I have some of those tendencies for sure.
Oh, like having your identity be reflected on you from other people, like seeing yourself through the eyes of other people.
Yeah, like as a kid, um, for example, like I think some of myself growing up believed that I was smart or intelligent based on what other people said to me. Like, you are smart. And like
Mm.
almost that positive reinforcement of I am smart because other people are telling me smart. And I don't know, like kind of what you're saying, what the set level of smart is. But now I know that I'm smart because they said it. So therefore I am smart. And now I believe that throughout the rest of my life
Yeah,
until it's challenged at
yeah,
some point.
yeah. I think about this a lot, actually. I remember in, I think, first grade, I was moved to the advanced reading group,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about all the time how that was the point at which I decided, like, oh, Lily is smart. I
Mm-hmm.
am smart. This,
Mm-hmm.
like, this qualification has made me smart. And that kind of was unshaking throughout high school. Um, and there are a lot of, like, identities that are kind of cast upon you when you're very little that just stick. And there's kind of a critical period of development. Like, there was a critical period, maybe in middle school, that I, like, for a bit kind of took a break from sports and never
Mm-hmm.
developed the identity of being athletic, And
Hmm.
despite like, you know, playing sports throughout high school and even for a year in college, I still will not like, you know,
Take on,
admit that
believe.
I'm an athlete or use that identity in any way,
Huh.
which is weird. I don't like it's we have to be really careful with kids and telling them what they are and how much that affects them. It's kind of insane.
It is insane because at one hand, there's like this playful aspect with kids that you have to have all the time, where sometimes you kind of just throw things out and you say things like, like, oh my gosh, you're so funny, you're so smart, or whatever. But
Mm.
all of those things as a child is being absorbed and like almost like a sponge that never lets go, just soaking in the water of whatever things you're telling it. Because yeah, same instances, I think. But the other thing is, I don't know if it's a skill, but that self-reflective part of us isn't developed as a child yet. So it's like we don't know the challenge, or we don't know to, like, there's nothing to prove it against.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of things can just go unchecked because we don't know how to articulate things or we don't know how our own thoughts affect us. Like, I couldn't have, I don't know. I think a lot of qualifications aren't smart or aren't important to you as a kid. So if you're believing them but kind of not saying them or not knowing that you believe them, it's dangerous.
Yeah,
So
true
yeah,
that.
I agree.
Hmm. Did your family growing up have these sort of conversations with you at any point?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think my parents are my biggest fans. I think um I think this has been ultimately, you know, it depends on the person if this is a good thing or not, but I think I know that my parents will be proud of me no matter what. And it's not a matter of, for me, it's never been a matter of making them proud because I think I'm not insecure about their trust in my choices and things like that. So, yeah, but it was a bit, as far as like asking me reflective questions, it was a bit of a free for all when I was a kid. Like, you know, neighborhood get together, like, you know, all the neighborhood kids playing in the backyard. You know, there are 4 kids in my family. So um, I think, yeah, the intellectual conversations my parents haven't been huge on. You know, as a kid, like pushing me to be reflective was not the biggest priority.
Hmm. And the
Yes.
reason I'm curious is just because I'm trying to figure out if your personality is this way, that it is self-reflective, or like each of your siblings are also this way because those conversations were happening frequently throughout your family. Do you think your siblings are in the similar boat of self-reflection?
Oh, I think my siblings. If you met my siblings are very different from me,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they would tell you, and I would agree with them, that, you know, we all have different intelligences. So I'm a bit of the overly intellectual one, and I get made fun of a lot within the family and told to kind of, you know, cool it down.
Yeah.
Um, but I lack sense in a lot of ways that my sisters are kind of brilliant in, my brother too. Um, yeah, particularly my second sister is like constantly just telling me all these ridiculous social cues that I miss and things like that. So I think that we're all like pretty secure people as we navigate the world, but we tend to have different sectors. And mine is the thinking, thinking too hard sector.
Yeah. Huh. And then, all right. So then I also see that you like to run, but I'm curious if you use running as a means to turn your brain off or to give yourself a space to think.
Ooh, I think turning my brain off. I think there's something like, I don't want to use uh, primal, I guess is the word I'm thinking of
Yeah.
first. Um, that's just, you know, kind of unmediated experiences of your body and your mind where um, I don't know, you can just kind of be and not have to worry about all of these anxieties that bleed into the rest of your life. So that's
Yeah.
mostly why I like running. And you feel cool. You're like gliding, you know?
Flying through the city.
Yeah, flying through the city, running away from something. No one knows
Yeah.
who you're running away from.
Physically and metaphorically.
Yes, absolutely. And you need to, yeah, running away from your problems is always a good thing. If it means literally running, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so that so here's the other thing I'm curious about with you as well, because you're a deep thinker and because you have running as an escape from your thoughts, that to me, because I'll tell you some of the experiences I have, or at least this, the creative flow. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or it just seems like
Yes.
you are so overly focused on this one thing, time is passing, thoughts are just so fluid. Um,
Mm.
and I want to know, one, do you experience it? And two, when do you find yourself experiencing it?
Oh, wow. Um, you know, this is a hard thing. I think as a songwriter is where I kind of am tracking this the most because you're always kind of waiting for when you're able to have that intense focus and I always feel like I can't control it. But I think what it comes down to is having discipline in moments that you don't feel all that creatively in tune and
Mm-hmm.
having that be a practice so that when things kind of come together and whatever stimuli around you are facilitating um, like a moment or a period of extended focus, your body knows what it feels like. You have this discipline to sustain that. So I think it's a constant trial and error of really focusing hard and not knowing if it's going to be super fruitful, but doing it anyway as a practice. Um, but I think writing is a big thing for me, whether it's journaling or academic writing or songwriting. I think that's mostly where I find um, like a sense of flow. I think with instrumental practice, it's a little bit more painstaking for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like words and ideas and pen to paper is where it feels like the experience that you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Because I think,
Mm.
I think experience it too when I'm writing, but I often don't allow myself to sit down and write enough. Um, do you have, do you take those, oh man, how do you take those moments of creative flow and then combine them with the painstaking repetition of, getting the music aspect down of something, and then you combine them to make the final product? Is that how you would say it typically goes?
I don't like some. I think it's kind of rare. If you, I feel like if you're really in flow, in a state
Mm-hmm.
of flow, if you're really focused on something, a lot of times you don't have the mental energy to reflect on the fact that that's what's happening. So I feel like
Yeah.
um, a lot of times I'll think that I'm onto something and kind of will realize, no, this is going to be a bad song, or like actually this writing's pretty bad, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it anyway. I'm just going to finish this. You kind of just have to finish the job every time. And other times you'll get out of it and be kind of shocked and say, "Oh, I think I may have made something good." And
Yeah.
sometimes you're wrong about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
I feel like yeah, it's all sometimes it's a retrospective thing that you determine like, "Oh, I was in a state of real
Flow
focus
state.
there." Yeah. Do you feel like you have it in, or do you recognize it in the present, like you know what's going on?
No, I don't. Um, and there's like a blessing and a curse in that, like,
Mm.
one, I think you kind of can't be present or else you'll like lose the creative flow. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, I wish I knew what it was. I think I find it most often, and that like one of the stimuli for me
Stimuli.
is I I listen to the same song over and over and over and over for like an hour and a half. Like a lot of
Mm.
times that's when it happens. Like when I really need to get something done, I don't play different music while I'm doing it. I play one song and just it just goes. And I don't know why. That's like something I haven't figured out of why, cuz it like turns into background noise, but it doesn't, you know? Like I think my brain is also like memorizing the words of the song, so it like has this like weird distraction that allows me to
Mm.
focus on what I'm supposed to do. You know, it's like just enough. I don't know. It's I got no idea why that is the way it is.
Yeah, I can. It seems to make sense though.
I mean,
Like
it's
the
been working so
obsessive
far.
quality. Yeah, that's
Y-
good. I see that it's been working so far. Here we are on the Nickolas Natali show to say so far that has been successful.
Yeah,
The
so far
tactic.
so good.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question about your music. Um,
Please.
I got plenty of questions about your music actually. First one is do you think that is your greatest passion in this life?
Oh, I mean, it's so hard to say. Like, I think that it is in that I've been doing it for so many years, kind of without being worried about how it's perceived by other people. Like, it's a very inward thing.
Mhm.
It's only been recently that I've kind of come out with it and, have been self promoting or even releasing or admitting that I write songs.
Yeah.
So I think in every other aspect of things I've tried to achieve or things that, I'm thinking mostly of academics, I guess, which I also have a passion for. Um, it's very like success based or outcome based, or, you're always being measured in these ways. So I think that music is a great passion in that I know I'll continue to do it regardless of these external kind of markers. Whereas other things, I mean, I really don't know because I've never tried.
Mm.
So that
Hmm.
wasn't really a great answer, but it was an answer.
It's the perfect answer. Whatever your
Oh,
answer
thank
is, it's perfect. Um, yeah. So the part about like just coming forth and releasing things, the reason I bring it up is because, like, I've seen you touch on this a little bit, like having the insecurity with your music, and I
you.
am. It's so strange because most things I'm cool with putting into the world because it's like there's at least a little bit of detachment. But when it comes to like making videos or like thinking of video ideas and testing them, and I'll edit them
Mm,
for however long it takes until I think it's perfect, and then right when I think it's ready, I'm like, oh, I can't show this to anybody. You know, like there's something about like
yeah,
caring so much about this thing that I don't know if it's whether I don't want it to be like tainted. Like I don't want it to be viewed other than how I view it right now, or if it's like
yeah.
I'm just scared I put so much effort into it and it's not going to be as good to the public as I see it or whatever it is. But the
Mm,
last thing that I think it really is like I just care about it too much, you know? And I wonder if that's where some of that I'm just now starting to release this music is coming from. Like which pieces of whatever it is that causes that feeling.
yeah. Um, I mean, I think there's a lot of fear. There are a lot of levels of fear with any creative work because you're making yourself vulnerable. And I think there are two sides of it. Like, on one level, you don't want it to be misconstrued, but on the
Mhm.
other, you also don't want some people, you don't want everyone to like know all of the contents of your brain. Like, I think part of the reason that I'm okay now with putting a lot of music out with a lot of personal stuff in it is because I realize that actually in most cases, like, there's a very very small percentage of people actually thinking, like, what does Lily Talmers think, why was she writing this song, and instead they're just trying to relate it to their own experience, and that's the reason why they
Mhm.
would listen to it. So I think that I've kind of allayed that fear, via that, or just realizing like in performance and in people talking to me about listening to my music, that kind of thing. Um, but as far as the first fear goes, um, just having vulnerability in general, I think that's just inevitably hard. I totally feel what you're saying, where anytime I have something recorded and I'm close to releasing it, I get very cold feet. I begin to hate the sound of my own voice, the music,
Mm-hmm.
everything. I'm going through it right now where it's like
Yeah.
I'm scared to release things. So yeah, maybe just chalking it up to, oh, it's normal, and then biting the bullet is the best way to do it. I don't know. My answer might change, but that's my current tactic.
Your
So
current
release
state
your
of being.
videos, Nickolas Natali.
Oh, I mean,
Just
I
throw them out there.
I go for it, but it's like I have to wait 4 months until after I edit it to
Mm,
let it fly, which
yeah,
I don't know. Pros and pros and cons to that, I think. Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, it's
What do you want?
hard.
It is hard, and yeah, I don't fully have it because the other half of me is always like the constant battle of don't live your life out of fear, and then I think I have this thought at times too that I wonder if you like this is something that helps me push it out is like there's so many people in the world. I'm just this little blimp on it, but like my little world matters. But in the grand scheme, if I put this video out, you know, like it'll change my world, but overall I got to remember that I am not the center of this world. Therefore, it's not as big of pressure that I'm putting on it, you know. I don't know.
Mm.
So where do you see yourself in this big huge world?
Ooh. Um. Yeah, I really don't know. I think I've been trying to just think more and more about the present and, you know, being trying to progress without thinking about outcomes. Because I really have no idea. I mean, 10 years from now, I could be doing a lot of things. I think more and more I've been feeling kind of apocalyptic and trying to like enjoy life and not plan, you know, hopefully not being frivolous about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've narrowed it down to like I my family and close friends, music, and like whatever intellectual projects I'm doing in school or otherwise are kind of the priorities, and focusing on those things and not um, trying to take too much for granted or go crazy with. For a long time it was like, oh, I need to have this hofty like, you know,
Scheme.
career and all the, yeah, scheme, intentions, and I always have to be focused on those and derive my identity from those. But the reality is, you know, my future projections or what has the potential to be is not me currently. So, you know, here I am, a songwriter that, you know, not very many people listen to, and great because I love writing songs. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, whether it amounts to anything or whether my academic work amounts to anything is kind of irrelevant. Like, you know, I am what I am now, and it's kind of meek, but I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Hmm. Intentional in the moment, almost.
Mm-hmm. Trying to be. I can't say that I'm completely successful.
Yeah. How do you not get caught up in all of your intellectual projects? Because anything, anything I give like a piece of my mind to, sooner or later it just grows bigger and bigger. You know, until it's at the
Mm.
forefront. Um. So, but it's such a, and there's always going to be a teeter of tomorrow and today, though. You know what I mean? Like, I do you struggle with the idea of complacency or no?
Oh, yeah, a lot. I think I think I have this fear, definitely, that one day I'll kind of wake up indifferent to everything. I think that's like that fear is what drives me to be ultra vigilant. Um, in my current life to kind of prove to myself that that's not going to happen in the future. Um, so in general, I'm trying to take my mind off the future, but when it's impossible, I try to use this moment as a proof that that it's going to be okay. If I have no plans or no guarantees or no projections, but that feel like they're based in reality. But if I can like just know that I'm doing my best now, then I can put those fears aside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the ideal.
I hmm. I think yeah, this is a tough one. I think I am concerned that since there are no guarantees, I live most of my days for tomorrow because I want to guarantee my tomorrow to be that tomorrow that I wanted. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like I think the majority of my mind and my efforts are wrapped around the idea that if I don't reach the goals that I've set out for myself, my life won't be like not fulfilled, but worth whatever I thought this life was worth. Does that make sense? So each day that goes by that is not capturing or like inching toward those goals, I it's like chaos. It's like the storm on the inside of my head is just going
mm.
rampant. But I don't know if that's of anything.
No, yeah, I totally agree with this. I feel like I have a list of things in my head that are worthwhile, kind of that indirectly or directly contribute to my set of growing projects. And if I can spend my days doing those things, then it's worthwhile without measurement. I think when I get down on myself a lot when I fail to, um, be really focused on the list of priorities. But yeah, I think it depends on the day. Some days also, it would be really lovely to just have a 10-year plan, as some people do, and
Mm-hmm.
feel like you are, hitting all the boxes. I guess like extended grad school is a great example of that. If you're in medical school, you know what your life is going to be like for the next 12 years or whatever. And you
Yeah.
you can measure day to day what that's like. I think that's
Yeah.
a very enticing model, and I, chased it for a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the living the mystery is, I don't know, I don't hate this word, but like it feels pretentious, but I think it's virtuous in some regards, at least.
Hmm. You're right. School really does have a. Because when I was in college, my only concern was to graduate. And I knew every day that I went to class and did my homework, I don't have to worry about these, like, setting my own to dos and goals because there's already a goal established. And
Mm,
it almost wraps around to the first idea of like we wish we had this set requirement of this type of person is good growing up, therefore we do these things and live this life to be good. And now that we don't have school or, whatever that overarching goal is that's predefined for us, there is there really is no measurement of this life is good that you're living because you can't compare it to other people's because they're inherently much much different.
yeah, you can't, but you want to. I definitely
Yeah.
do, even though I shouldn't.
Yeah. Same.
Mm,
Hmm. Hmm.
yes.
Is that why would you say you're anti social media?
Oh, I wish I was more like guns blazing anti-social media. I've gone through stages of being that. I think, yeah, I think in general, um, it is a breeding ground for all things bad in my life. In terms of, I mean, not all things bad, but most facets of social media are bad for me, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's like, I don't know, this way to kind of bolster yourself in the most synthetic way possible. So it's like, it's not really a good way to see yourself, even if it's positive. And then there
Mm-hmm.
are so many negative aspects of it. I mean, even like following other musicians, I think is sometimes a real challenge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially because I'm still in school and kind of not, even if I were to pursue it, like I'm not at a stage where I could. Um, like to watch everyone kind of off and doing their thing is inspiring at times, but mostly it's a little bit crippling to just have to compare yourself to, rather than focus on your art or, actual reflective thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for
big
sure.
big thumbs down. Are you
Just
able
one
to
or two?
navigate it well?
uh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm able to navigate it well. I'll say a few things. I don't follow any of the influencers that I feel like I make content similar to.
Mm.
Um, and I typically don't follow people that I want their skills, if that makes sense. So like,
Ooh, that's an interesting tactic.
yeah, like cuz I know I appreciate them and I'm in awe of their skills, but I don't want to put myself in the position where I'm going to cuz I'm easily like um I can easily start a new goal and get obsessed with it, and then next thing I know I'm 6 months into this skill that I really probably wasn't even for me, but I just got so like enthralled over it that I couldn't let it go. But I think recently I've been having fun on just with this podcast Instagram account, just throwing things out there because I've realized the stakes are so low now. Like if
Mm.
I can just let go of the fact that this baby that I'm creating and throwing out there is like the only precious thing in my life. I kind of view it in the way how I consume things on social media is I blow by them unless it's somebody that I know and I want to like see how they're doing. So I just vision it this way. If I think if I'm going to post something and somebody doesn't like it, they'll probably end up leaving, and that's best for everybody. So I'm not going to be offended by that.
Yeah, that's a good way to see it. I think I'm trying to adopt a similar
Yeah.
status.
The numbers get weird though. I do try to stay away from looking at numbers on there though. That's for sure.
Yeah, very weird marker of anything.
There's a question there's a question that I have to ask you.
Please.
Um, you took out you helped take out your own thyroid in Uganda.
Oh, that was not my own thyroid. So, no, this was a very weird situation. Basically, my next door neighbor growing up is a hand surgeon or a plastic surgeon. He specializes in the hand. And he, is part of this big association, kind of like Doctors Without Borders, but different. And they did fundraisers all through when I was growing up. And I would always, like, as a kid, like be the server at the benefit, you know, events, whatever, whatever, help them a lot. And so last year they needed like some extra hands on deck that weren't medical personnel on their medical mission to Uganda. So I accompanied and helped with a lot of gear and logistics and things like that. And they let you scrub in. Um, so yeah, so I got to like I will not say assist because I did not assist. I think there are some weird implications with that, but I was present at there for like a goiter removal. So I got to hold a thyroid that had been removed, which was pretty wild. I mean, a lot of things about that experience were wild, but um, yeah, the surgical stuff was good. I have a pretty strong stomach. I'm pretty proud of that. That was one thing I learned.
You're holding it in your hand. I don't.
Yeah, yeah, it was wild. I
I
feel a
still.
little bit bad. Honestly, I'm like a little bit morally torn about that photo. Like I don't know what to do because it's cool, but that's also a person's thyroid,
It is.
and
It
it's a
really
little
is.
bit concerning that at the time I didn't really think about it, but yeah. So that is someone's thyroid, and that woman, she did really well post op, and I think she's good now. I think she's, it changes people's lives. So we are happy that her thyroid was removed.
She was happy. I'm
Yes,
just
she
still
was
so
happy.
baffled. How you're in the room. How much medical experience did you have at the time?
I had zero medical experience, but I did nothing important. Actually, I was like the kid entertainer.
Oh
Um,
no. Entertaining them
yeah.
while they're taking it out.
Well, no, like outside the hospital, all the kids would hang out because, like entire families would come and wait for days and days for surgery.
Mm.
So I would just like, play instruments with them, chase them. We had a great time. I was like the Pied Piper of kids.
Wow.
Not to brag, but I am the
Yeah,
Pied
no big deal.
Piper of
No big
kids.
deal.
So that's it. Yes.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
It was
I
wild.
That's one of those things that I feel like you're just like, wow, Like I that really happened to me. What a time.
Yes, definitely. It was, yeah. I mean, I think it continues to reveal itself, as all experiences do. It's not like you return from something and you're changed. I think that it's now like something that you can kind of will just resurface and resurface and continue to give you perspective on your life, which is cool.
That is pretty cool. Then the next
Yes.
experience I got to ask about is
Mm.
this is another thing that I don't. There's so many things, so many experiences that you've had that I just, you know, I don't know. And I'm like, man, whew. You spent 2 weeks with 20 nuns on a farm on a mountain
Oh,
in Greece.
oh, you picked a good one, Nickolas Natali.
Ooh,
Yeah. I mean that has been that's another thing that just surfaces and continues to give me life, I think. Basically, I got a scholarship from my university to go do a language program in Greece for like a month and a half or something. So they gave me money for the ticket and I just booked it early and went to they're actually on WOOF, this website called Worldwide Organization of Organic Farms.
wow.
Basically, it's this big so I'm Greek Orthodox,
Mm-hmm.
and my my parentage is Greek, whatever. And I've learned about this place through the community, but it's a female monastery on a mountain, like 2 hours from like the second largest city in Greece, which is called Thessaloniki.
Mm-hmm.
And um, basically, it's like 20 nuns running an eco project that doubles as a monastery. Well, no, it's a monastery first, and then it's an eco project. But like, you know, imagine 20 women from around the world all wearing habits and like making cheese and milking cows.
Wow.
And I literally just tended a bean field for 2 weeks and like, got to go to church alongside these incredible women. Like, I think we have this weird cultural um, the way that we think of monastics just in day-to-day life, like the way that they're referred, it's kind of like a joke, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
being a nun is such a joke. I mean, or that you have to be like a meek person, or
Mm-hmm.
or super religious, something like this. Like, what a power move to literally just deny your entire life
Mm-hmm.
and be so committed to this one thing that you join a community of people, and like very holistically commit your life to this one purpose. Like, all of what struck me was that all of these nuns, like, everyone's parents are mad. Even if you have
Mhm.
the most religious parents in the world, they will be pissed that you become a monastic. Like,
Wow.
no parent wants their child to be like single and celibate
Yeah.
and in a monastery, these things. So I think it was just like this incredible strength and realization of commitment to the unit of your life. Like, in a big way, monastics decide, like, this is how I'm going to spend my life. Like, in one day, this is what I'm going to do, and they commit to the slow burn. Whereas in the real world, it's like we put up all these fronts as to what is going on and what we're committed to and what we think is important, and we kind of haphazardly commit to them, or we don't admit them, and we kind of just live and do all these things. Like, I don't know, I don't think necessarily that I'm cut out for monastic life, but I I really admire this like power move of, this is what I'm doing. I
Hmm.
don't care what anyone thinks. Give me the black dress
Yeah.
and I will put it on, and like, this is it. So yeah,
Man.
that was my experience. Baby goats, many fun other things, but like mostly the life thing.
Man. Heck of an
Yeah.
experience. It is sad. Yeah, it is sad for the majority of us that I think we all, like you're saying, we're hiding behind something that doesn't allow us to be fully enthralled with whatever we're experiencing at the time. Um, but boy, is it lifelong? The nun life? Like
The
if you
nun
choose
life.
to be a nun, you're a nun for the rest of your life until you die, and there's
Well,
no way out, or how does it work?
it's yeah, there's a like, I don't, I can't speak. There are lots of like Catholic orders that I kind of don't know much about, and obviously non-Christian religions too, um but in Orthodoxy, there are like levels. You become a novice, and it depends on the person. Some people are novices for like 10 years, other people are novices for 1 year, 2 years. Then you take kind of your first vow. um they call it tantring, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a marriage ceremony almost, and you like put on your habit for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and then again, like, this is all sorted out with your relationship to your spiritual, your abbess, your spiritual mother, in Greek hieronissa. And you then eventually you take like commitment, the last of which, it's like, basically the agreement is like till you die. So you don't
Wow.
get the till you die, like, immediately. You have to, it's a slow build.
Oh gosh.
But the intent for everyone is till you die, I think, even if you haven't taken the vow.
I mean, if you're gonna commit, that only seems logical. You know.
Yes. I think a great phrase is commit to the bit. I often yell this at people who I feel, are not giving it their all in
Oh
whatever
yeah.
joke. If you're gonna, I really think that, like, even things like jokes, it should be for yourself. Like, this is about, don't like hurt other people in the process, but you need to be committed
Oh yeah.
to what you're doing. You have to take some losses to make some gains. Commit to the bit.
You gotta. Um,
Yeah.
I'm in a I'm in an acting class right now, and
Ooh.
I've never done cocaine in my life. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So I really have no experience on how people act, but I was given a role for class where I was supposed to do cocaine, right? And boy, so first week I did a really bad job, because I didn't commit to the bit. Second week
Mm.
did exactly that. I was taking bumps of cocaine, which was baking soda, snorting it straight, and I gotta say,
Oh
lots
my
of fun.
gosh.
Lots of. I didn't
Wait,
actually
baking?
snort the bake. I didn't snort the
Oh,
baking
thank
soda, but
God.
yeah,
Thank God.
for pretend. I was
Okay.
I had it on the pinky. I was like researching where I could get the little bullets that people use to put cocaine on their hand. I'm right there with you.
Wow.
I think you got to go for it. Whatever it is,
Hmm.
commit to that bit. None life,
Yeah.
baby.
Commit to the bit. yeah, right now it's an ideal of my life more than it is. I think I commit to the bit in some ways, but I'm always trying to commit to the bit more.
Which
I mean,
ways?
I don't know. Like, I still don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm not a nun. I'm not committed to that bit
That's
in the
true.
way, I'm not like
Not yet.
in some ways, life is a big bit, Nickolas Natali. Life is just one big bit. If you're committed, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I am committed to the fact that not much is like all that real or important,
Hmm.
as is like the world doesn't dictate importance correctly. So it is a bit. You have to be committed to the fact that it is a bit and roll with it. And then hopefully you can find important things along the way. But yeah,
Yeah.
life is a bit, commit to it, but not that much because that would be dumb. That's what I
See,
want written on my gravestone.
I was gonna say, yeah.
It's been said.
That's a perfect all encapsulating. If you needed to know anything about life, it's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Gotta gotta commit to that bit.
big time.
Um, in the realm of spirituality, I suppose.
Hmm,
My question: I've never been to Jerusalem, but I have a question for you about Jerusalem.
please.
Uh, there seems to be like this strange fine line of spirituality, but also tourism. What was your what was your feel when you were there and like having that be the case?
Yeah, I think this is a line that you walk. Any kind of religiosity begs this question, because there's a degree to which you expect this sentiment to arise out of like a ritualistic thing, like as if, you know, going to church or and having an emotional experience amidst all of the cycles of traditional things that you do, that's supposed to stand for the underlying spirituality. And I think you have to separate to some extent like spirituality that's lived and these like experiences of it that we have. So going to Jerusalem is supposed to be this incredible spiritual revelation, and
Mm-hmm.
it is definitely like a presentation, like a visual presentation and actualization, a lot of these stories that we talk about. But it is also like a tourist destination. I think that I struggled with that, thinking that it was going to be like this very spiritual thing, um, when actually, you know, the significance of the narrative, like, is the way that you process and narrate and live it in your own life. Of the various narratives of like biblical narratives, but like the overall narrative of Christ, seeing where he died does not in any way like uh I don't know, augment like my living of the fact that he died,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it, I would definitely recommend going to Jerusalem. I think it was really wonderful, but I think that it made me realize also, like, even in just small ritualistic things that I do, trying to understand their meaning and understand that that meaning is more important than like the thing physical presentation of it. Yes,
Yeah.
I feel like I overly intellectualized that, but there it is.
No.
Those are my thoughts.
So do you think, mm, when you were there, like, I don't know, I hear the term legalism gets tossed around a lot. Did you see more of like in their presentations themselves? Do you think they were more legalistic as because there's so many people coming in, they were doing it out of like ritual showy, or do you think that in those contexts it was for meaning and not for display? Because that's like
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, was it a pseudo or was it the real thing? But like, you would hope it's the real thing, but it's also because people are showing up. I don't know.
um, yeah. Well, there's so much. I mean, I don't even want to like belittle how crazy the politics are by trying to there's so much going on in that place
Mm-hmm.
in general. But even like the experience of going to a service, I went to the exaltation of the Holy Cross at the Holy Sepulchre.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the church, the Orthodox Church alone is being divided in all of these ways. Like there's all these politics between all of the different ethnic denominations, and then there's the politics of like East and West with the Catholics versus the Orthodox, and everyone's fighting over bits of land, and it's like this very shallow, um, strange fight. Um, and they're always, getting into tiffs over it. But then, even if you get past all of that political stuff, even going to a service, like, you know, it's packed. There are like 45 priests, and people are like shoving you around. Like, I was being shoved around by a lot of like old Russian and Greek women who like
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get to the front. There was just a lot. I mean, there was a
So
lot
much.
going on. So
Yeah.
it became like, it was like a circus, and I like had to laugh at some points, and then I felt like, oh, is this really, am I even going to church? Like, am
Yeah.
I just not vigilant? Am I a horrible person? But it's kind of a show. You kind of have to laugh at it at some point, and
Yeah.
not take this like that this is a serious representation of spirituality or faith. It's just like people being psychotic.
Yeah. Because I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people visiting probably are not, you know, in belief of a lot of the same things that are occurring there. It could be very much so because it's a tourism spot, So that, which
Yeah.
I will say that I don't want to make it seem like non-believers of whatever church should not attend a church, but you know what I mean. Like in that circumstance, they were there for the attraction and not for spirituality, the spiritualness of it.
Yeah. I think that you just have to accept that, if you're gonna like, the experience has to be inward, and I think the nature of that is that maybe it's not going to be this immediate visceral thing that you're at the place and then you have this experience. Like, okay, you went to the place and now that's inside you and you can integrate it, just because it's not an experience of communion with other people who are experiencing the same thing as you
Yeah.
necessarily. But I guess everything's like that.
Yeah, man, it is.
Yeah.
All your
Weird.
own relationship to it. Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
man. Back to the self-reflection. I
Wild.
can't escape it.
Mm, the
All
truth.
right. All right, all right, all right, all right. This is fact or foe. This is fact or foe. You
Okay.
you met the princess and queen of Rakai, which is in Uganda?
Oh, I did. Yes.
How does that make sense?
Well, yeah. Basically, it was a big deal that Rakai. So, fun fact about Rakai, sad fact about Rakai, um, it's where the first case of AIDS was established, I guess,
Mhm.
like in that province of Uganda.
Mhm.
So, I think they get very excited and happy when there are medical personnel who come from the US to help them.
Oh,
So, they came and met us at the airport, and it was pretty cool. I said
wow.
hi. I think I got a
Mhm.
handshake.
Ooh.
So, I mean, I don't want to say that I am also a princess now, but I feel like it. I do feel like it.
You may just be called back and have a permanent residence there. You got to commit to the bit of being a princess now.
Yes, it could be. It could be.
Lily, I'm going to introduce you to the lightning round.
Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, I'm strapped in. I put on my
Yeah,
seatbelt.
sweet. I'm going to ask you some questions very quickly, and you're going to answer them as quickly as you can.
Okay,
Are
I'm on it.
you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Did I answer
Um
that quickly enough?
yes. Where is the most beautiful fountain you've ever seen?
Oh, um, so Chicago, I don't care about fountains that much if I don't get to jump in them. So Trevi Fountain, no big deal. Fountain in Chicago that I had a great time in with my cousins. I think it's in Millennium Park because I had a great time. Water
Boom.
is to be experienced, not looked at. Boom.
Boom. Favorite flavor, favorite kind of soup. Big soup gal.
Oh,
Love the soup.
I love soup. Any soup from Portugal. Just like typical like kitchen vegetable soup in Portugal that you can get anywhere
Wow.
or made by my family friends.
Top 3 books. No. Your top book for yourself and your top book you recommend.
Ah, okay. I mean, I'm gonna give a recent pick. Oh, I guess okay. Actually, Steinbeck's East of Eden. Everyone
Got it.
should read it. Great piece of prose.
Mhm. That's for them. What about for you?
Oh, lately, Elena Ferrante wrote this it's called the Neapolitan series. The first one's called My Brilliant Friend. If you are a woman and you feel like you don't get enough women's perspective in all of the media that you consume, because I often feel that I don't,
Mhm.
um, this is an amazing retrospective on femalehood in so many ways. And
Nice.
men should read it. Everyone should read it.
I'll put it in the show notes. You seems like you have an affinity for old people. Why do you like
Absolutely.
old people so much?
Um, I'm just, my best friend has quoted me as saying, or is quoted to have said that I managed to be simultaneously 9 and 80 years old at once.
Oh, nice.
So part of it's in my nature. The second part is my grandmother, who I call Yaya, is like my best friend in the whole world. So
Mhm.
I'm really close with her, and I think, yeah, they're just, old people get what's important.
They do. It took a long
They're
time to
not
get to
out
them.
to mess around. Yeah.
How many times do you think your yaya has forced you to order fish at the dinner table or at going out to eat?
Oh, so successfully, very few. How many
Mhm.
times has she attempted?
Mhm.
Thousands. No,
Too
I
many to
haven't been to
count.
thousands of restaurants. Hundreds. So many times. And she'll even tell me after we've gone to the restaurant, like, next time when we go, you should think about getting fish. It's amazing. That's it.
Just consider the fish. Um,
Please.
if you could become immortal on the condition you would never be able to die or kill yourself, would you
Whew.
choose immorality?
Wait, can you repeat the last part of that?
Would you choose to live
Who would I
forever?
choose?
No, no, would you?
Would I?
Would you? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. No. Deadlines are everything.
They are everything.
Hmm.
Ah, man. That's that okay. Lightning round is over. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. You
That
got
was
me worked
great.
up.
Yeah.
Love the lightning round. All right, you
Wow.
you
Oh,
you
good.
think of you think of death quite often. Yes
Mm,
or no? Do you?
yes. Wow, yeah. Death is on
Yeah.
the mind for sure.
Yeah. Mine too. And what's your are you what's your relationship with death?
Um, what's my relationship with death? I think that I use it a lot as like a vice in writing.
Mm.
Um, like supposing things. Um, but I don't know. With this current crisis, I feel like I've been exposed to the fact that I don't take seriously the deadlines that we have,
Mm-hmm.
because I never expected to spend the last bit of my senior year in quarantine.
Yeah.
And it goes to show that even if I have this very objective deadline of like graduation, leaving here, whatever. And still I have failed to like to really be with a lot of the people that I love as much as I want. And it's because I have not taken seriously the deadline of leaving. And I think in the same way, I don't, I try to, but I don't fully, live as if as if death is around the corner. Cause it is in a way, we don't have
Yeah.
very long.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
And I also
So
think it
that's on
it
the
doesn't
mind.
it doesn't help that I can't talk to anybody to say, "Hey man, how's death like?" You know?
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
furthers my relationship with it.
Mm-hmm.
but what do I know? You know,
Yeah, it's
Lily, Lily. I'm gonna ask you the final question of the pod. Are you ready?
yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. If you could teach everyone in the world one concept, what concept do you think would have the biggest positive impact on humanity?
Oh, I think everyone should sing more. I think that, like, I don't, there's no better embodiment of words and concepts and expression. You know, so much can be contained in like an interval of singing or yeah, I think the world would be better just for that. If everyone was busier singing than busier doing other things.
I can see it. I can see it happening.
Simple
Well,
answer, but I think it's a good one.
oh, I think those are usually the best ones. Um, Lily, you are lovely, and I want to know
Likewise, Nick.
where can the people find you on the internet?
Ooh, you can find me on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and on Spotify.
I was gonna say it's got to be Spotify. Kids got to listen
Yeah,
in.
yeah, gotta listen in, but you can get all the updates. You know, some people don't have Spotify, so if you want
True.
updates on other on releases, things like that, you can find me on all the other dumb streaming platforms as well. But Instagram will give you all the notifications. So yeah,
Nice.
Lily Talmers coming
Sweet.
at you.
Thank you for being on the show, Lily. I feel like I have, there's too many questions that I have for you that would just be too many hours. So hopefully we get to do this again.
Yeah, no, it was lovely talking to you, and thank you for paying attention and enough to ask such good questions. It's really an honor, Nickolas Natali, to be on
Absolutely.
this lovely show.
Oh. Okay. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Okay. Bye.